Welcome, everybody. We're going to be looking at this series here in regards to the everlasting covenant. It's a document or a promise that we see all throughout the scriptures in your Bible, and Yahweh isn't shy about this covenant. He makes this covenant to Adam first, and then, going down through the generations from Noah, Abraham. You have Isaac and Jacob, David. You have all of these men of old, our forefathers, that the Most High has made a covenant with. And much of it, this covenant, it's not spoken about in the churches. A lot of them shy away from it. They might say it's done away with, but I challenge you to use the scriptures and question that premise, because all throughout the scriptures, it's not done away with. And many people today are in denial of who the ancient Israelites are. And they use replacement theology to explain away why it is like that. So, anyways, let's get into this. Let's let's see what we're dealing with here. Okay, and what I did here was, instead of starting somewhere in the middle, I wanted to start at the beginning. And as far as we know, in the beginning, it started with Adam and Eve. So our regular Bibles only cover a brief synopsis, as you will, of the creation story. And everybody who has scriptures can see that for themselves. But there is more to it than meets the eye, right? And we're going to be looking deep in the apocryphal texts, right, to get a better understanding. And many people haven't seen these texts. Many people don't even know that they truly exist. Okay? So we're going to get into it here, right? And our main focus for the next little bit will be Adam and Eve. Now, I know many people, they have issues with the apocryphal text and say it's not in the Bible, and they shy away from looking at it. But I'm here to say, uh, you should probably rethink that ideology and look more deeper into it. And one of the things you can do is just do a simple Google excuse me. I just did one here not too long ago, a few hours ago. Who removed the Apocrypha from the Bible? So let's see. You know, Here's Gemini, Google's AI model here, right? No single person or group removed the Apocrypha. Rather, the removal was a gradual process during the Protestant Reformation and afterwards, influenced by figures like Martin Luther, and later by decisions from Bible societies. Martin Luther first separated the books into an intertestamental section in his Bible, believing they were useful but not as authoritative as other scriptures, a decision supported by his view that they were not in the Hebrew canon. Over time, especially in the 19th and 20th centuries, Protestant Bibles gradually omitted the books entirely. So here's my thing, if we believe that the Most High inspired these scriptures to be written, right, the very Bible that you even hold right now, then who are we, in my opinion, to decide what stays in and what doesn't? And I think this is a great mistake by the people of this time period, right? Um, we can go to Wikipedia, right, and see a little bit more information, right? check this out. The society did include the Apocrypha in Bibles for use in continental Europe, where it was normal for Protestant as well as Catholic readers to have texts of the Apocrypha. Prior to 1629, all English language Bibles included the Old Testament, the Apocrypha, and the New Testament. Examples include the Matthew's Bible in 1537, the Great Bible 1539, the Geneva Bible 1560, the Bishop's Bible 1568, and the King James Bible 1611. Robert Hollande criticized this policy. The British, I want you to take note of this part here. The British and Foreign Bible Society had in fact dropped the Apocrypha from its Bibles published in English in 1804. This decision broke with the tradition of the Miles Coverdale, I don't even know what that is, of consolidating the Apocrypha between the two testaments. They reasoned that by not printing the secondary material of Apocrypha within the Bible, the scriptures would prove to be less costly to produce. Right? And you all can go and look this up for yourself. Right? And you can see basically in a nutshell, some group of people said, hey, you know what? These scriptures are slightly problematic and we don't want to include them in the Bible. One of the books that I have that includes 88 books. The version that I have doesn't include 88 books. I don't remember how many, but it has books like Tobit and the Maccabees and whatnot, but it's the Ethiopian Bible, right? And anybody can jump on Amazon and pick up a copy, right? So I really encourage anyone to do so. Okay, so let's get into this here, right? Uh, check this out here. Okay, in the first book of Adam and Eve. For I knew thou shouldest sin and transgress and come out into this land. Yet would I not force thee, nor be hard upon thee. I think this should be hard, but that's just the way that it's written in the Apocrypha. Nor be hard upon thee, nor shut up, nor doom thee through thy fall, nor through thy coming out from light into darkness, nor yet through thy coming from the garden into this land. Now, I find it's interesting to see the reference of coming out from the garden into a strange land or this land. It just says this land, but if you read Adam and Eve when they were kicked out of the garden, they were shocked at their state. They were banished to the cave of treasures. And from what we read in it, it was a stony, stony place, certainly far from what the Garden of Eden looked like. Notice what the Most High says. For I made thee of the light, and I willed to bring out children of light from thee, and like unto thee. Now, this right here is interesting. I've heard many people say, the commandments, the laws are the light of the Most High, and sure, I can agree with that. But throughout the scriptures, the Most High is implying something a little bit more literal here and physical. And as we go through this, we shall see how Adam and Eve talk about this and talk about the state that they came down to was not in their original state for mankind, right? So let's go to the link, the source. And where I'm getting this from is the sacred text index, the sacredtext.com. Okay. Anybody can go there. It's a site. It claims to have the most comprehensive collection of books from around the world. Okay, there's a ton of books in here. There's a ton of philosophies and stuff. So where we're gonna go to, wants to, if anybody wants to go here on their own, okay, where I got this from was the Christianity section. Okay, and then you scroll down, and then you have the Apocrypha. Okay, so let's check this out. Apocrypha means hidden things in Greek. The apocryphal books of the Bible fall into two categories: texts which were included in some canonical versions of the Bible at some point, and other texts of a biblical nature which have never been canonical. All right? So let's check this out here. Let's see what we're reading. Okay, so we come over here. Let's read this in its entirety, this page. Okay? Then when Yahweh, who is merciful and full of pity, heard Adam's voice, he said unto him, O Adam, so long as the righteous angel was obedient to me, a bright light rested on him and on his hosts. But when he transgressed my commandment, I deprived him of that bright nature, and he became dark. And when he was in the heavens, in the realms of light, he knew not of darkness. But he transgressed, and I made him fall from heaven upon the earth. And it was this darkness that came upon him. And on thee, O Adam, while in my garden and obedient to me, did that bright light rest also. But when I heard of thy transgression, I deprived thee of that bright light. Yet of my mercy I did not turn thee into darkness, but I made thee thy body of flesh, over which I spread this skin, in order that it may bear cold and eat heat. So what I find interesting is over here, we have the Most High saying that he made Adam of the light. And his purpose for Adam and mankind, he wanted to bring children from Adam and Eve of that same nature, that bright light. Okay? But when they transgressed, okay, their nature was changed to what we are today. This flesh and skin and bone and blood and veins and all of that. Okay? Which leads us to believe that Adam in his original form wasn't like what we are today. And the Most High goes on to explain this further. And Adam and Eve comment on this further throughout this entire book. Our scriptures are apocrypha. Okay? Notice, if I had let my wrath fall heavily upon thee, I should have destroyed thee. And had I turned thee into darkness, it would have been as if I killed thee. But in my mercy I have made thee as thou art. When thou didst transgress my commandment, O Adam, I drove thee from the garden, and made thee come forth into this land, and commanded thee to dwell in this cave. And darkness came upon thee as it did upon him who transgressed my commandment. And we'll get to that him in a bit. Thus, O Adam, has this night deceived thee. It is not to last forever, but is only of 12 hours. When it is over, daylight will return. So what's interesting here is Adam is basically afraid of the dark. Okay, he was born in the light. He dwelled in the garden. You know, we all can imagine and picture what that might have been like. But here, him and Eve are kicked out, dwelling in a cave of treasures, okay, not understanding their full situation. And worse, it's dark. There's no lamp, there's no light. You know, probably if you know, if you stick your head outside the cave, there's stars and stuff in the sky. Okay, so he says to him in 11, sigh not, therefore neither be moved, and say not in thy heart that this darkness is long and drags on wearily, and say not in thy heart that I plague thee with it. I'm sorry, it's a little hard to read this old English, but I'm doing my best. Here we go. Strengthen thy heart, and be not afraid. This darkness is not a punishment. But, O Adam, I have made the day, and I have placed the sun in it to give light, in order that thou and thy children should do your work. For I knew thou shouldst sin and transgress, and come out into this land. Yet would I not force thee, nor be heard of, probably hard, but it says, nor be heard upon thee, nor shut up, nor doom thee through thy fall, nor through thy coming out from light into darkness, nor yet through thy coming from the garden into this land. For I made thee of the light, and I willed to bring out children of light from thee, and like unto thee. But thou didst not keep one day my commandment, until I had finished the creation and blessed everything in it. Then I commanded thee concerning the tree, that thou eat not thereof. Yet I knew that Satan, who deceived himself, would also deceive thee. So I made known to thee by means of the tree not to come near him. And I told thee not to eat of the fruit, nor taste of it, nor yet to sit under it, nor yet to yield it. Okay? Had I not had I not been and spoken to thee, O Adam, concerning the tree, and had I left thee without a commandment, and thou hadst sinned, it would have been an offense on my part for not giving thee any order. Thou wouldst turn around and blame me for it. So here we have the Most High saying, say, look, Adam, I told you don't even go near this tree, right? Some people say it wasn't a tree, it was something else. It was some religious organization, some teachings. In what we read here, the Most High is saying it's a tree. Okay, we weren't there, but to the best of our knowledge, it's some kind of tree, some kind of something, right? And the Most High is saying, if I didn't tell you about this, you would have blamed me for it. Had you have partaken of it, you and Eve, and come to the state that you are. So the Most High is telling not only Adam, but the reader, you and I, this is the case. Okay, he solemnly warned his son not to do this thing. And look what he says further. But I commanded thee and warned thee, and thou didst fall, so that my creatures cannot blame me, but the blame rests on them alone. And, O Adam, I have made the day for thee and for thy children after thee, for them to work and toil therein. And I have made the night for them to rest in it from their work, and for the beasts of the field to go forth by night and seek their food. But little of darkness now remains, O Adam, and daylight will soon appear. So we don't see that there in the regular scriptures, right? This is anybody can go to Bible Hub, and all of this right here are just the different versions of the scriptures. What's this? The New International Version, I believe. Yes. Berean Standard. Okay, the King James. Right now, I'm just gonna look in the Amplified for right now. Okay. But what we just read, we don't see much of that. We just see a general outline of creation. Okay. But what is another interesting thing, if you go back previous and read this here. Okay. So this is still after they got kicked out, right? Then Adam smote upon his breast, he and Eve, and they mourned the whole night until dawn drew near, and they sighed over the length of the night in Miyazia. Not sure what that is. And Adam beat himself and threw himself on the ground in the cave from bitter grief, and because of the darkness, and lay there as dead. So the sun is going down, it's getting dark, and they don't understand what's going on. Okay, they've never seen this before. To us, it's normal. Hey, it's time to go to bed. It's time to wake up tomorrow and go to work. But Adam, he knows nothing of this. Okay, but Adam and Eve heard the noise he made. But Eve heard the noise he made in falling upon the earth. And she felt about for him with her hands and found him like a corpse. Then she was afraid, speechless, and remained by him. But the merciful Heavenly Father looked on the death of Adam and on Eve's silence from fear of the darkness. And the word of Yahweh came unto Adam and raised him from his death. Interesting. Adam died right there in the cave. And if you go through the apocryphal texts, you're going to see Adam and Eve committed suicide many times. Many times. I was shocked when I read this. And each time the Most High raised them from their fallen state. And he would have to, because if he'd allowed Adam to die, then none of us would exist here today. All right, so let's go back here. And the word of Adam came unto and the word of Yahweh came unto Adam and raised him from his death and opened Eve's mouth that she might speak. Then Adam arose in the cave and said, O Yahweh, wherefore has light departed from us, and darkness come over us? Wherefore dost thou leave us in this long darkness? Why wilt thou plague us thus? I'm telling you, this old English is tough. And this darkness, Father, where was it ere it came upon us? It is such that we cannot see each other. For so long as we were in the garden, okay, we neither saw nor even knew what darkness is. I was not hidden from Eve, neither was she hidden from me, until now that she cannot see me. And no darkness came upon us to separate us from each other. But she and I were both in one bright light. I saw her and she saw me. Yet now, since we came into this cave, darkness has come upon us and parted us asunder, so that I do not see her and she does not see me. O Yahweh, wilt thou then plague us with this darkness? So it's interesting to see that Adam and Eve are commenting on their fallen state. They're clearly saying that they were in a bright light. And for you to be in a bright, you and I aren't in a bright light. Okay, we need flashlights, we need a lamp, and so forth to light our way. But Adam is here saying that in the beginning, he didn't even know what darkness was. That's how much light he dwelt in. And we have the Most High saying, "Hey, I put my light upon you." Okay, and when you transgressed, it that light disappeared from you. I took it away, or I allowed it to be taken away. Okay. Now let's go over back to the covenant here. Okay. Let's look at what Adam is saying to back up what I'm saying. Okay. Then at first I knew neither night nor day, for I had a bright nature. Neither did the light in which I live ever leave me to know night or day. Then again, Father, in that third hour in which thou didst create me, thou broughtest to me all beasts, and lions, and ostriches, and fowls of the air, and all things that move in the earth, which thou hadst created at the first hour before me of the Friday. And thy will was that I should name them all, one by one, with a suitable name. But thou gavest me understanding and knowledge, and a pure heart, and a right mind from thee, that I should name them after thine own mind regarding the naming of them. And, O Yahweh, thou madest them obedient to me, and didst order that not one of them break from my sway, according to thy commandment, and to the dominion which thou hast given me over them. But now they are all estranged from me. So again, in another passage here, Adam is explaining his state. He was never in that flesh and blood as we have today, okay? In his original state. Let's go to the let's go to where we got that from, okay? Let's read the entire page and get some more context, okay? And on the on the morning of the 43rd day they came out of the cave, sorrowful and weeping. Their bodies were lean, and they were parched from hunger and thirst, from fasting and praying. Interesting that they're fasting and praying. The first man and woman fasting and praying. And from their heavy sorrow on account of their transgression. And when they had come out of the cave, they went up the mountain to the west of the garden. There they stood and prayed and besought their father to grant them for forgiveness of their sins. Interesting how Adam and Eve are asking for forgiveness of their sins. This is the first account of man doing so. Adam has, as far as I could see, and it's not written anywhere, did Adam have somebody else to look, up to explain fasting and praying? Interesting. And after their prayers, Adam began to entreat the Most High, saying, My Father and my Creator, thou didst command the four elements to be gathered together, and they were gathered together by thine order. Then thou spreadest thy hand and did create me out of one element, that of dust of the earth. And thou didst bring me into the garden at that third hour on a Friday, and didst inform me of it in the cave. Then at first I knew neither night nor day, for I had a bright nature. Neither did the light in which I lived ever leave me to know night or day. Then again, my Father, in that third hour in which thou didst create me, thou broughtest to me all beasts and lions and ostriches and fowls of the air and all things that move in the earth, which thou hadst created at the first hour before me of the Friday. Y'all have to forgive me because it's cold here in Canada and the heater keeps going on and off. You're just gonna have to deal with it. I'm not turning it off because it's too cold. Okay? And thy will was that I should name them all one by one with a suitable name, but thou gavest me understanding and knowledge and a pure heart and a right mind from thee, that I should name them after thine own mind regarding the naming of them. And, O Yahweh, thou madest them obedient to me, and didst order that not one of them break from my sway according to thy commandment, and to the dominion which thou hast given me over them. But now they are all estranged from me. Then it was in that third hour of Friday in which thou didst create me, and didst command me concerning the tree. So at least Adam is admitting, so yes, Most High, you did warn me, and I didn't listen. And many of us can say that today. A lot of times, our parents warn us about things and we don't listen, and then we're like, oh man, I should have listened. Okay? And Adam is basically doing the same thing. Okay, then it was in that third hour of Friday in which thou didst create me, and did command me concerning the tree, to which I was neither to draw near, nor to eat thereof. For thou saidst to me in the garden, When thou eat of it, of death thou shalt die. And if thou had punished me as thou saidst with death, I should have died that very moment. Moreover, when thou commandedst me regarding the tree, I was neither to approach nor to cat thereof. This looks like a spelling mistake. Eve was not with me. Thou hadn't not yet created her, neither hadst thou yet taken her out of my side, nor had she yet heard this order from thee. So Adam fully admits, hey man, you told me first, right? I knew better. But for whatever reason, I gave in. Then at the end of the third hour of that Friday, O Father, thou didst cause a slumber and a sleep to come over me. And I slept, and was overwhelmed in sleep. Then thou didst draw a rib out of my side, which corresponds to what we see in the regular scriptures, right? He did take a rib out of uh, Adam to create Eve, okay? Wherever it is, we can get back to it in a bit. Did I just lose my spot? I just lost my spot. Okay. Then he said, verse okay. Then thou didst draw a rib out of my side and created it after my own similitude and image. Then I awoke, and when I saw her and knew who she was, I said, this is bones of my bones and flesh of my flesh. Henceforth she shall be called woman. It was of thy good will, O Yahweh, that thou broughtest a slumber and a sleep over me, and that thou didst forthwith bring Eve out of my sight until she was out, so that I did not see how she was made, neither could I witness, my Father, how awful and great are thy righteousness and glory. Now, awful, it's not awful like how we use it today, as disdain, like the way I'm seeing it here, it's like awe, how you're awe inspired, full. So, how great and are thy righteousness and glory. And of thy righteousness, O Yahweh, thou made us both with bodies of a bright nature. Interesting how Adam is saying this again. This comes up many, many, many times. Okay, it's not just a one-time thing that he describes a bright nature, and it even goes even further than that as we go through the apocryphal texts. You even have, eventually if you guys read, you have the angels, or I like to say Malachim, the angels explain to Adam how things was before that. Okay, but I'm not going to rush ahead. I'm just going to take it step by step. But now, O Father, since we transgressed thy commandment and broke thy law, thou hast brought. It's interesting to know Adam is talking law, the same laws that we see in Deuteronomy, right? We're seeing consistency here in these apocryphal texts. I'm not saying that the apocryphal texts are all without blemish. I'm sure there's additions and subtractions, just like there are in our regular scriptures today, right? But what we're looking for is consistency, right? Because when things are right and when things are true, they're consistent. That's why I'm not afraid to look into these scriptures, right? If you want to increase your understanding, you got to read, right? You don't need a preacher to tell you. You don't need to go sit down in front of an organization, okay, and sit there and listen to the preacher tell you this and that. Ask your preacher about these scriptures, okay? If they're telling you, oh no, we don't, we don't look at that. We don't agree with it. Ask him why. Say, well, these were in the original writings. Why were they taken out? Okay, don't just settle for lame answers to your questions. Okay, now therefore, O Yahweh, we pray thee, give us something to eat from the garden. to satisfy our hunger with it, and something wherein to quench our thirst. For behold, many days, Yahweh, we have tasted nothing and drunk nothing, and our flesh is dried up, our strength is wasted, and sleep is gone from our eyes, from faintness and weeping. Then, then, O Yahweh, we dare not gather aught of the fruit of trees from fear of thee. For we transgressed at first, thou didst spare us, and did not make us die. So here we have Adam reverencing his heavenly Father. Say, I'm so scared to even make another move, because who knows what else worse calamity might befall us. You really have to put yourself in the mind state of Adam here, right? But now we thought in our hearts, if we eat of the fruit trees without our Father's order, he will destroy us this time and will wipe us off from the face of the earth. And if we drink this water without his order, he will make an end of us and root us up at once. Now therefore, O Yahweh, that I am come to this place with Eve, we beg thou wilt give us of the fruit of the garden, and that we may be satisfied with it. For we desire the fruit that is on the earth, and all else that we lack in it. So basically, Adam and Eve are begging for food. Okay? They never knew this hunger. They never knew this thirst. They never knew the things that we know today, the things that we deem common. That was completely foreign to Adam and Eve. Okay? Watch this. This is interesting. And this is why I say that the promise of salvation was first made to Adam. Okay? And we'll read this here. Then Yahweh says to Adam, I have ordained on this earth days and years, and thou and thy seed shall dwell and walk in it. Notice, until the days and years are fulfilled, when I shall send the word that created thee, and against which thou hast transgressed, the word that made thee come out of the garden, and that raised thee when thou wast fallen. Yes, the word that will again save thee when the 5 days and a half are fulfilled. But when Adam heard these words from his father and of the great 5 days and a half, he did not understand the meaning of them. For Adam was thinking that there would be but 5 days and a half for him to the end of the world. And Adam wept and prayed to his father to explain it to him. Then Yahweh, in his mercy for Adam, who was made after his own image and similitude, explained to him that these were 5,500 years, and how one would then come and save him and his seed. 5,500 years. That is something to look into. I don't understand it like that. Is this this seems to me, in my opinion, right? And everybody can have an opinion. That's not a problem. But the problem is when you start to use your opinion as fact, right? Without any source, any basis in truth, okay? And then you force people to subject themselves to your opinion. So I'm just saying, this is just my opinion here, that this seems to be a period of time that the Most High is referring to, apart from the grand scheme of thing, the grand period of time from mankind's creation till now. That's just my opinion. Okay? Interesting here. But Yahweh had before that made this covenant with our father Adam. Interesting how we see the covenant popping up in the apocryphal texts, the texts that the scriptures that were taken out of the Bibles. Okay, but Yahweh had before that made this covenant with our father Adam in the same terms ere he came out of the garden. When he was by the tree thereof, Eve took the fruit and gave it to him to eat. Okay, let's go back. Let's go back. I like to, I like to, let's see, let's just open this up here. Close this. Right? So we read this. Okay? We read this, and I encourage you guys to go and read this for yourselves. Okay? We read this. I'm not going to read this part again, but I'm going to start right here. Okay? Inasmuch as when our father Adam came out of the garden, he passed by that tree and saw how Yahweh had changed the appearance of it into another form, and how it withered. So this is on their way out. They're getting escorted out, so to speak, out of their home where they once was. Okay, and anybody who has been displaced can tell you how terrible that feels. And as Adam went to it, he feared, trembled, and fell down. But Yahweh in his mercy lifted him up, and then made this covenant with him. And again, when Adam was by the gate of the garden and saw the cherubim, I believe these are the highest forms of angels, right? Cherubim, cherubim. Okay, right. This is the Ark of the Covenant. Cherubim are powerful winged celestial beings in Abrahamic faiths, often depicted as guardians of holy places like Eden, or as throne bearers for the Most High, described in the Bible with varied forms from lion, ox, eagle, human hybrids in Ezekiel's vision to figures adorning the ark. So this powerful being he saw, okay? And again, when Adam was by the gate of the garden and saw the cherub with a sword of flashing fire in his hand. Now, I believe somewhere in the regular Bible we see a reference to that. Okay. Let's go look and search for this. Okay. Let's go. Look at this. So the Most High drove the man out, and at the east gate of the Garden of Eden, he permanently stationed the cherubim and the sword with the flashing blade, which turned around and around in every direction to protect and guard the way, entrance, access to the tree of life. Interesting. Okay? Anybody wants to really put down these apocryphal texts, I strongly suggest that you read it first before you dismiss. Because here we have confluence, right? And again, Adam was by the gate of the garden and saw the cherub with a sword of flashing fire in his hand. And the cherub grew angry and frowned at him. Both Adam and Eve became afraid of him and thought he meant to put them to death. So they fell on their faces and trembled with fear. But he had pity on them and showed them mercy, and turning from them went up to heaven and prayed unto Yahweh and said, Yahweh, thou didst send me to watch at the garden, the gate of the garden, with a sword of fire. But when thy servants Adam and Eve saw me, they fell on their faces and were as dead. O my father, what shall we do to thy servants? Then Yahweh had pity on them and showed them mercy and sent his angel to keep the garden. And the word of Yahweh came unto Adam and Eve and raised them up. And Yahweh said to Adam, I told thee that at the end of 5.5 days I will send my word and save thee. Strengthen thy heart, therefore, and abide in the cave of treasures, of which I have spoken to thee. And when Adam heard this word from the Most High, he was comforted with the with that which Yahweh had told him, for he had told him how he would save him. Right? So the Most High has already promised Adam, say, look, don't worry about it. I know it's tough, it's a shock, but I already knew that you would sin. You and Eve would do this, but fear not. I'm going to work it out so that someone should come through your lineage and be the salvation to your seed and the rest of mankind. Okay? I'm basically just, simplifying uh, everything. So watch this here. Watch this here. When Adam and Eve heard these words from the Most High, they wept and sobbed yet more. But they strengthened their hearts in Yahweh because they now felt that He was to them like a father and a mother. And for this very reason, they wept before Him and sought mercy from Him. Then Yahweh had pity on them and said, O Adam, I have made my covenant with thee, and I will not turn from it. Neither will I let thee return to the garden until my covenant of the great 5.5 days is fulfilled. So he's guaranteeing Adam will come back into the garden. Okay. Then Adam said unto his father, Thou didst create us and make us fit to be in the garden. And before I transgressed, thou madest all beasts come to me that I should name them. Thy grace was then on me, and I named every one according to thy mind, and thou madest them all subject unto me. But now, my father, that I have transgressed thy commandment, all beasts will rise against me and will devour me, and Eve, thy handmaid, and will cut off our life from the face of the earth. So Adam's in the dark, or going into the dark, and realizes that, hey, things are different and I'm afraid of these wild animals, just like we are today. Okay. So it's very interesting to why were these why were these scriptures taken away? Okay. Why did they omit this stuff? Okay, what's so problematic about this stuff? Okay, you have to ask yourself, you just have to ask yourself some questions. Here's some simple questions. Okay, let's read another passage. This is another point where they committed suicide, right? Then Yahweh, merciful and glorious, gracious, looked upon them, thus lying in the water, and nigh unto death. So they were close to death, and sent an angel who brought them out of the water and laid them on the seashore as dead. Then the angel went up to Yahweh, was welcomed, and said, O Yahweh, thy creatures have breathed their last. Then Yahweh sent his word unto Adam and Eve, who raised them from their death. Adam said, after he was raised, O Yahweh, while we were in the garden, we did not require or care for this water. But since we came to this land, we cannot do without it. Then Yahweh said to Adam, While thou wast under my command, and was a bright angel, thou knewest not this water. But after that thou hast transgressed my commandment, thou canst not do without water, wherein to wash thy body, and make it grow. For it is now like that of beasts, and in want of water. Very interesting. The same human experience that we experience today. We've got to bathe, we've got to shower, we have to maintain our cleanliness of this body. And the Most High and Adam, are showing us, or the Most High is showing the reader here, that this wasn't your original condition. Okay? When Adam and Eve heard these words from Yahweh, they wept a bitter cry. And you can imagine just coming from a fallen state as such to what we are now. You would want to kill yourself too. And Adam entreated Yahweh to let him return into the garden and look at it a second time. But Yahweh said unto Adam, I have made thee a promise. When that promise is fulfilled, I will bring thee back into the garden. Notice, thee and thy righteous seed. And Yahweh ceased to commune with Adam. This ceased to commune with Adam doesn't mean like, okay, that's it. He'll never talk to him again. That just means, okay, conversation is over. Very interesting, everybody. Check that out. He's telling Adam, you just can't come back in yet. I've got a plan. And children need to be born from you. Mankind needs to be born from you for a purpose that the Most High will show us later on. Okay? But Adam slowly, they start to understand. And we'll see this throughout here. Okay? Again, I encourage you guys to go back and get this for yourself. Read this for yourself. Okay? Uh, we'll stop there for now. And next, we're going to get into something interesting here. Okay? We're going to get into something interesting here, and I don't think you guys are going to want to miss this thought process of the devil.